from the College by the Lake, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Local, regional, national, and international guests discussing the issues and topics affecting the way you live are on Forum, the North Idaho College Public Forum, with your host and moderator, political scientist Tony Stewart.
Welcome to today's program. We're very pleased to do what I would describe as an international program today. We've invited 3 students at North Idaho College that are in our program from different countries around the world. We do have a program in which international students are part of each year's study at this institution. And I welcome, first of all, to our program to my far left, Ezekiel Bambolo, who is from Liberia. Welcome, we're very delighted to have you with us.
Thanks a lot.
And next to him is Alice Hostova, who is from the Czech Republic, and we're very pleased to have you with us today.
Thank you.
And next to Alice is Ziara Bagh, who is from Bangladesh. And again, welcome. We're delighted all 3 of you came. It was kind of you to do so and give us a chance to talk with you about your country and the experiences that you've had also while in the United States. I'm very pleased to welcome back to the program a person that visits with us from time to time as a panel member, a colleague of mine on the faculty at North Idaho College, Mr. Lloyd Marsh, who is in the Division of Physical Sciences. In addition to doing this program, he's done a number of other special productions with us that we have done in documentaries. And I shall ask Lloyd to commence the questioning.
Thank you, Tony, for that nice introduction. And I want to welcome you all on my behalf. It's just a delight to have you here. And I would like to start off the question, perhaps with you, Chopin, about can you give us some background on what brings you to North Idaho, in particular NIC, to pursue your education?
Well, I always wanted to study in America, and I learned of North Idaho College through a friend who is also studying at North Idaho College. His name is Ahmed Idris. That's how I came to know about it. And I particularly liked the idea of the lake, the college on the lake. That's what brings me here, I think. And
do you have plans now to attend North Idaho College and then continue with your education in the United States?
Yes, I do.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Alitza, how about you? Can you give us a little background, please?
Well, it's very similar. With him, I also wanted to study in college in the United States to improve my English. Mm-hmm. And then I came in for the first time in November 1991, and I had an opportunity to travel across country. And on the way, we stopped in North Idaho and in Coeur d'Alene, and I really liked the area, and I found out there was a college here, and I was like, yes, that would be great. So I got the application, and I got accepted, and I was very happy.
Marvelous. Ezekiel, how about you?
Well,
what brings you to us?
It's been a privilege. It's a privilege to come and study in the United States, and I discovered North Idaho College through my present host family, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd Garrison, who live in Spirit Lake, Idaho. And they talked me into coming up to North Idaho and going to school up here. And I've also had a chance to play basketball for North Idaho College, which I enjoy pretty much.
Oh, marvelous. Good. Tony?
Well, it's a really interesting experience how North Idaho College was discovered by all 3 of you. One of the things we like doing on this program is talking about your country, and you share your culture with us, and we're much more wealthy because of those contributions. Ezekiel, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a lot about Liberia, some statistics about the size of your country and the number of people and your geography, your climate.
Liberia is located on the west coast of Africa, approximately 43,000 square miles, and about 2.5 million people maybe. And it's a democratic country and has been for a long time. It was founded in 1847 by free slaves from America. And it has been, unfortunately, lately, it has been a pretty, it's in a state of unrest right now, a civil crisis. But pretty much it's a nice place. And
well, what is the basic economy of your country?
Well, there's exports such as rubber and iron ore. And that's the 2 major exports, and there are other little things, and that's basically what it is.
And so, and in relation to that too, what kind of, and we know it's a democratic system, mm-hmm. What kind of system do you have in relation to the executive and the legislative?
It's like there's a three-branch government: the executive, like legislative, and the judiciary, and the House of Senate and the House of Representatives, and that's how it's governed. Basically, I don't know. I'm not too sure, but I would like to say it's similar to American politics. You know, only electoral process may involve more than just a Republican and a Democratic Party.
You have more parties.
Right, more parties.
Multi-party system.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And at times it has to be governed by coalition because no one gets a majority.
Well, it's never been the case. It's always been someone to rule a certain party. Since the last party to rule was the I think National Democratic Party of Liberia, which was led by Samuel Doe and was eliminated or overthrown in 1990 or late '89. But there's always been one party that has taken
That's had
majority.
Majority. Mm-hmm. Alice, let's turn to you. Your country has really experienced some changes in all Eastern Europe when the communist system collapsed, and there's been a division in your country. Tell us a little bit about that. I know you're now known as the Czech Republic, and tell us a little bit about the division, how that came about, and.
Well, the separation was actually established like January 1993, so it was a time when I wasn't there anymore. Mm-hmm. But as I was visiting last Christmas, you know, I heard a lot about it, and I knew that, you know, people weren't really happy about it. It came from the Slovak part, and, you know, a lot of Czech people really didn't understand why this was happening, because, you know, they were like accusing us that we had all the power, we had all the money, why they didn't have anything, which I don't think it's not fair, because like our previous president under the communist system was Slovak, and it was a known fact that he was, you know, doing a lot for Slovak Republic as opposed to from the Czech Republic, you know. So he was like building a lot of factories, and, you know, there was also a lot of stuff in Slovak Republic. But, you know, for the people it was real, I don't know, it came like a shock, and it just didn't seem fair.
Well, I'd heard that before, that the Czech Republic in particular did not want the division.
No.
But it was a peaceful division and so forth. And,
fortunately.
And agreements signed.
Right, yeah. We're lucky that it wasn't like in Yugoslavia or
yes.
that it came to fighting. Yeah,
yes,
so
that is real tragic what is going on there. Tell us a little bit about now the Czech Republic that's become separate and about your population and something about the characteristics of your country.
Well, I guess now it has only 10 million people, because 5 million was from Slovak. Even though I hear a lot of Slovaks are moving to Czech Republic now. But, you know, as a transformation from the socialist system, now they're trying to establish a capitalist system, but it's really difficult, and it's a really slow process because people really don't know how to do it yet. You know, so they have a lot of Western, not necessarily American, but just Western people, you know, coming there and trying to help with the process of changing it. But it's very difficult, and people are getting frustrated because, you know, the price is going up and inflation, and, you know, there's a lot of negative effects, but, you know, not too many things are actually changing to the better.
Not only are you changing complete governmental and political system, but then having the division of the country, you're going through, in a very, very short period of time, a lot of change. Yeah. That's always challenging. Sierra, I know that you are from Bangladesh, but you've not lived there a long time. Isn't your family or your father in the diplomatic corps? And first of all, tell us something about Bangladesh, and then also take opportunity to tell us about some of your travels.
Well, there's not much I can tell you about Bangladesh, but it's situated very close to India, Pakistan border with China. The population is, I think, about 110 million, which is a big problem right there. And basically, that's all I think I know about it.
Yeah. Tell us where all else you've lived, and you've traveled extensively, haven't you?
Well, my travel started back in 1979, and that my first time that was in Sri Lanka. My father was in the diplomatic career, and then we moved on to, I think it was West Germany, then England, then China, and then in between I had to move around Hong Kong and other places. And the last was China, where I did my high school studies, and then I went back home, stayed for a couple of months, actually 6-7 months I think. And I experienced, well, that was my longest stay since 1979. I quite enjoyed it. The weather is very hot, very, very hot. The humidity kills you, the mosquitoes do as well. And the government is doing a good job. It's a lady prime minister, as you probably know. She's doing good, but the opposition is always on her back. So, and right now, if I'm right, there is a lot of chaos, like people being murdered and all this stuff. And there is rumor that she might not last long, which I hope is not true, because I like her.
Yes. A lot of political challenges. Lloyd Marsh.
Can we sort of change the pace a little bit and get into some of your experiences in the education system in your countries? Alice, can you talk to us about your early days? You have a program, or is there a program for what we call kindergarten through 12th grade or elementary education? How is that set up in your country?
Yeah, it's in many ways very similar. Like here, there's a kindergarten until you can basically start 2 to 6, or anyway, and 6. When you're 6 years old, you start like what's called elementary school, and you continue there till 8th grade till you're 14. And then basically when you're 14, you have to make a big decision. You have to decide whether you want to go to high school, which is not like high school here. Only like maybe 20% of the population actually go to high school. You have to pass an entrance exam. And then, so the better students go to high school, and either we can go like to gymnasium, which is like a preparation for university, or any kind of specific high school. Like, for example, I went to economic high school, or like technical, or any kind. And then there's college. And if you don't get accepted to high school, you can go learn a trade or any kind of vocational school, which are usually only 3 years, while the high school is 4 years, and it's ended with what we call maturita, which is like a baccalaureate in French.
Yes.
It's like an exam. So.
Yes. Well, that's interesting, the similarities, but certainly the differences. That's a pretty big decision to make when you're 14 years old.
I know, it's really difficult.
Are generally the parents pretty much involved in that decision?
Yeah, the parents push the children, obviously, to do better and to get to high school, because, if you go to high school, that'll give you a lot of opportunities to do something afterwards, to get a really good job and, do more than if you're just like.
So it's very competitive.
Yes, it is very competitive. It is, the kids are really pressured, like when I was in 8th grade, I really wanted to study hard and do the exams well, and it's kind of a difficult time.
Because you see your whole life being shaped by these events.
But you don't really realize it because you're too young,
Right.
But, the parents are pushing you.
Then when you complete high school, you have the opportunity to go on to a college-level education. Is it difficult to get into college?
Yes, it's extremely difficult because I guess there's not enough colleges and universities, unfortunately. So it's very difficult. Again, you have to pass a number of exams, and even then, it's not for sure at all that you get in. Like in the past, it relied a lot on like if you had like connections. Unfortunately, but they told us it's going to change after the communists were gone, but it's still there a little bit. It's still very difficult.
Ezekiel, how about your elementary education?
Well, basically it's the same from kindergarten through 12th grade, and then on into college. But the difference I see is that it's very strict down there, whereas kids are really put under pressure to perform up to expectation. And there was also, like, you get up to junior high, like in 9th grade, you have to take a certain national exam, which you have to pass if you're going to be promoted to the high school level. And then you take another exam in senior class to get that enables you to go into college. And each time a student has to score a certain level to be promoted. If you can't pass it, most likely you have to wait the next year and take it over, or wait sometime during the year. And like I said, it's just really strict, and it puts a lot of pressure on the kids to really perform. As a result, I think when I first came here, comparing my schooling days back there to here, I think it's a lot easier. Nevertheless, it makes the student a little. You start to get some negligence involved in your life and everything. And for me right now, it seems like I've kind of drawn back a little bit because it seems to be just too easy. Nevertheless, though, but
So we have to keep the pressure on you to perform.
Right,
That's
but
what it is.
it still involves a lot of work out here, too, a lot of reading and everything, which you have to do in order to pass anyway, to make a pass and perform properly.
What's the alternative if you get to 12th grade or when you take this national exam and then you don't pass and you don't pass the next year?
Well,
eventually what do you do?
Most like there's a few trade schools that you could go into and learn something to do. Nevertheless, Africa is a pretty poor continent, and there's a lot of literacy. And I think I attribute a lot of literacy to this process, because some people won't even make it in trade school, and what do they do, and it becomes a very big problem. And so, like I said, there's a lot of illiteracy. I think it's because of that. Some people just don't get the chance to do anything more than,
just some little bit of education and not
if you don't
enough.
succeed, you're done.
Yeah.
Give somebody else a chance, and other kids that are growing up have to come up and go to school as well. So,
just one little follow-up on that. Are there more people taking the opportunity as you are to leave your country and get your education, pursue your education elsewhere?
Yeah, every time there's a chance, people take the opportunity because, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and it's a very big opportunity for you to come up, go somewhere else and better. So especially America, as you know, America is leading, is leading the world right now, and so a lot of people take the opportunity, and it's not very seldom that you find a lot of people having the opportunity, but if they have it, they take it.
Wonderful. Tony. Oh, yeah. Let's pursue your elementary education, I guess.
I think it's basically also the same. From 1st grade to 5th grade is considered junior, and 5th on to 12th is high school, where you do the exam nationwide. Everybody takes the exam, and of course you have to pass that, and it's very, very competitive because there are a lot of students and very few places offered in colleges or universities. To speak of an experience which I had in the last year, I wanted to go into university, Dhaka University, that's the capital university, and there were only 3,000 seats offered, but the number of students who filed to take the exam were 43,000.
43,000 applying for 3,000 seats.
3,000 seats, so you can believe how competitive, and it's very, very competitive. I think I messed up only in the math section, and also in my own language section, which I'm a little stuck right now. So I didn't get in, and it's very, very tough. Now, of course, there are choices. You can go to colleges where you have to, and they charge you it's very expensive.
There are private colleges.
There
in
are
Bangladesh?
private colleges. Right now, there's two. There's one NSU, North South University, and I think it's in coalition with the U.S. colleges. I don't know exactly which state, and there is more coming up. Independent universities and all, and they are just too much.
Yes.
They're more commercialized than they're more interested in education.
So I guess the bottom line in all of your countries is that it's just an extremely competitive environment for students, and they're asked to perform very young in life.
Especially when you have only 2 universities in the whole country. It's a lot. It's just a lot of competition right there.
Wow. Lloyd, I would just add a footnote to what the students have said, and that is over the years we've done a number of programs with students from around the world, and there is a common thread that runs through on this issue, which I think is a great lesson for the United States. That would be my comment in public schools, is that step by step through that process is testing students, making sure they are prepared and ready. And I think that is something that we could certainly heed in this country that addresses the question of quality in that process. And we at the college level certainly are very sensitive to that issue, and we've talked about that. I know you've been very involved in that. I would like to talk with all 3 of the students about social life at your age, both when you were in high school, now that you're in college in this country and you have the opportunity to socialize with students your own age. In what ways is social life in your country similar to young people in this country, and how is it different? And I'll reverse this time and start with CR over here, please.
Well, I didn't really have any experience with social life back home because I've been out so much, but I do believe that there is not much contact. Well, here in American colleges, everybody's free. You go to dance parties and you can make friends with girls or things like that, but it's very restricted over back home, because it's our country's 90% is Muslim, and parents do not allow their daughters to go to colleges and mix with boys. So there are always colleges which offer, I don't know, what do you call co-education or something like that, where only boys and girls have separate.
So there's a lot of supervision of young people. At what age do young people have the freedom to move around and make more decisions without so much supervision?
I don't believe they have much freedom.
It doesn't happen until
It doesn't happen.
Until marriage, or
that is supposed to be the case, but I believe it's changing slowly and gradually. Probably.
One of the questions, as you've gone to other countries, since you live in so many, can you give us some other observations about how it was different from country to country, social life for young people?
I think it's probably the same. Most countries where I've been, in Sri Lanka, China, Great Britain, West Germany, it's basically the same as the U.S., where they socialize.
So your country was different from
it's very different, yes.
Okay. Alice?
Well, I find a lot of similarities because, I mean, people in Europe and in the United States pretty much have the same ways of, socializing and having fun. And especially in Prague, it became so, I could say, Americanized in those last couple of years. Where, I hear there was only 40,000 Americans in there. So I guess, that kind of changes the culture. Like we have McDonald's and we have things like that we didn't used to have. And
the music, you've been introduced to a lot of the music?
Well, we had the music pretty much, but now it's like sometimes people say that it's actually hard to hear Czech on the street, because especially in Prague, that's where I'm from, there's so many foreigners in there, so it's like, you have to speak English to get around.
It's a real international city, isn't it?
Yeah, it really became one. So it's pretty much the same, really.
Ezekiel?
Well, as I stated earlier, Liberia is founded by free states from America, and so America seems to have its mark on Liberia. And a lot of the kids in Liberia want to be like Americans. They they believe they're free and their parents can't tell them much to do. I mean, they're grown people and they can take care of their own lives. Nevertheless, there's still a very strict, strict rules by the parents, that you have to be 21 to really make your own decisions. But the social life is basically the same. Unfortunately, for me, it's just different because I was raised up in a country in a family where things were really strict, and I grew up learning different virtues. And so I don't seem to like too much social life, like partying and everything. But it's basically the same, I would say.
Lloyd Marsh.
I'm just a little interested to follow up on that. You talked about your family. Was your father a professional?
Yeah. My mom and dad are both teachers. My dad was, they were called into Liberia in 1966 to serve as missionaries and teach French. They were originally from Cameroon, Central Africa. So my dad taught French in the high school I went to, which is called Rick's Institute, and my mom taught the kindergarten.
I see.
And they're both professional teachers.
Yeah. Now here's sort of a general question for all three of you. When we talk about your social life, and you say, well, in some cases, with your exception, we're pretty much the same as Americans. Do you see any move to go back to the old social mores and cultures that you had before? Is there a movement in that country, or has it been that way since you know? I know a lot of countries are reluctantly allowing some of their old ways, their old customs to go away. And is there any movement in your country to keep them, get them back?
No, really, I don't think so. It's more like really forward, People want change. They want everything that's Western, because it was suppressed for 40 years of communism. So people now really want to be free, and read the foreign magazines and see the foreign movies and the stars, rock stars, and
That's interesting.
So the customs, unfortunately, are kind of fading away.
Okay, now we've looked at your country through your eyes. Can you look at our country through your eyes? Have you had an opportunity? I'll ask Chopin. We'll start over here. An opportunity to travel in the U.S. very much?
Well, not yet, but I did land in New York, JFK. That's the only place I guess I've been.
I see. What did New York look like to you?
It's total chaos over there. I've traveled in the underground subway. I don't think I can do it without someone around with me who knows his way around.
Yes.
It's so confusing.
Yes.
And the people are very, very unfriendly over there, in New York especially. I wouldn't like to name any certain country, but it's very hostile. My brother-in-law forbid me to step out of the house after 8, or if I did have to go somewhere, take him with him.
And it's not that way in Bangladesh.
It's not as bad as, I thought Bangladesh was bad, but New York is worse.
You've done a lot of travel, Alice, haven't you?
Yeah,
And,
I've done a lot of traveling.
what is your impressions of this country?
Well, as a whole, I like it. You know, there's a lot of things that I really like. Like, people are very nice, very friendly. Like, basically everywhere I went, even in New York, you know, I did get lost in the subway too, but I found a lot of people like completely just telling me which way to go and what to do. So I was really grateful for that. So you know, people are really nice. And like in a store, for example, I was not used to this much from my country. Like, you know, it's automatic for the salesperson to say thank you and good day and how was your weekend. You know, when they first talked to me like this, I was like, you know, I just wasn't used to it, because if you go to a Czech store, at least it used to be that way, you kind of bothered them, you know, because it was one more customer they had to take care of. You know, fortunately it's changing now with a private enterprise, but this was what the socialist, you know, the stores looked like.
Right.
So.
Right. Zeke, what are your impressions?
For me, I think America for me is truly the land of opportunity. You know, I'm able to work as a student and make enough money that I can save up as well as go to school. And no doubt, it's a vast change. I've been to I've had a sister who lives in New York, and I visited her last Christmas, and my eyes were totally wide open when I was in New York and looking at everything. And it's a big difference, but I think it's just a vast area, and as it goes, it changes, you know. But like I said, I think America is a land of opportunity for me.
And we're just running out of time, just almost out of time. And is there anything either one of you three would like to say that has been most impressive to you about your experiences?
Well,
Let the lady start.
Of course.
Oh, I was afraid of that. I really like the school here. I really like studying here. I like the people, and I miss my family. I have to say that, and my friends. But basically, I'm happy here.
With that, I get the signal that we're out of time, and on behalf of Lloyd Marsh and our staff, we thank all three of you for being here. It's been really fun having you. We're happy that you're at North Idaho College, and we wish you well.
thank you.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed our program, and I invite you to be with us again next week at this same time, when we will discuss another subject that we think is of significance. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
The North Idaho College Public Forum was videotaped live from the studios of Telemedia Services on the campus of North Idaho College for viewing at this more appropriate time. We invite you to join us again next week for another all-new edition of the North Idaho College Public Forum on this public television station.